Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. Haley Carbajal joining us here today, the creator of 5 Steps to Alignment. She's back today to talk more about her work and what she does to help people break bad habits and, of course, pursue your life's soul purpose. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Great, fantastic. Can't complain. I had a little vacation, so I'm home and I'm well rested and excited to be back at work as of yesterday. So I feel good. What about you?
I'm so glad you got to take a little vacation. That's amazing. Where'd you go?
I went to Santa Barbara. Odd because it's such a long flight with a layover, but it was just to get away to visit my son's godfather, who we used to do little trips before I had my son. That was 9 years ago. And randomly, he's like, "Let's meet in Santa Barbara." I'm like, "That's like an 8 hour flight, layover 10." I'm like, "Okay, we did it." 2 days. It was great. It makes you feel
That's
good. And unfortunately, it was full of rain and it was really cold, but it was still beautiful.
Yeah, over here on the West Coast it is. It's still rainy and cold. No idea why. It is April, right?
I know,
It
right?
is
And you're in
April.
Flagstaff, you're in Arizona.
Yep, yep. So, I'm glad you got back safely.
Thank you.
So, I wanted to really talk about the soul's purpose today, that higher calling, because I know a lot of people maybe take a look at that as a nice to have thing, or that's for dreamers. But in reality, we're all hardwired with a gift. And so it brings me back to that quote, right? Your talent is God's gift to you. And what you do with it is your gift back to
Hmm.
God. And I want to say that there really are no coincidences, right? There's some people who it's like really obvious what their talents are. And so I really don't want to speak to them today because they already know. Maybe they'll benefit from this, but I really want to speak to those who are kind of like worried or anxious or don't know what their soul's purpose is, because it can feel like this huge pressurized thing, but in reality it's not that complicated. It's only our emotions and our fears that make it complicated. And so there's really two primary reasons why we don't step into our higher calling or why we step into our soul's purpose, and that's obviously the not knowing, but it's because of the fear of actually doing it. Is my soul's purpose or what I'm good at good enough? And I'll get into how to discover this in just a second. But it's like, what I have to offer, is it good enough? Can I actually help people? Some people, we don't realize it, but our soul's purpose is exactly in alignment with our struggles and what we're going through and trying to transcend. You're best equipped to help the person that you used to be. You're most qualified to help the person that you used to be. So they fear, well, am I enough? Is it
Yeah.
worth it? Can I do it? Is there a way? And then the underlying to that is usually around money, right? Because people look at the entrepreneurial journey and it's like really scary, and oh girl, it can be, it absolutely
Absolutely
can
can.
be.
I did the same thing.
Yeah, but you would agree that it's absolutely worth
Yeah.
it. Those prices that you pay as an entrepreneur, they pay off, not just
Wow.
financially, monetarily, but also mentally, emotionally. There is a certain level of emotional and mental maturity in true entrepreneurs, right? Those who faced failures after failures after failures. So, if we just took money off the table, because I know for a fact that you will always be taken care of during your soul's purpose, even when finances don't look good. You'll always be taken care of. You'll always have everything that you need and require. And if we take the insecurity off the table as well, let's just have a conversation and leave those out for a second, because that's a whole nother conversation in of itself. And so how do you know what your soul's purpose is, right? Really, it's the thing that you're naturally good at, that comes effortlessly to you. Like that quote says, your talent. Now, most people don't really even recognize the things that they're good at, because it just comes so effortlessly, right? Like being a good communicator or being able to call out the gifts in another. Maybe it's really good at being able to put things together. Maybe you're a really good problem solver or whatever it is. You'll fill in the blank. As we're talking, your subconscious mind is already running and connecting dots. But whatever it is that you're naturally good at. And like I said, we don't really put a lot of weight or value into it because it comes so effortlessly. We more often than not value the things that we had to work really hard for, understandably, right? The things we had to earn. But you can look at another and admire their gifts and their skills and what they can do, their talents, but it's hard for you to recognize your own because it comes so effortlessly, like breathing. So if you just take inventory of what is it that I am actually good at? What is it that I'm, naturally, it just comes to me. I can help people or maybe do some coding on computers or whatever have you. What is it that comes naturally to me? And then the second question to ask yourself is, what would you do for free all day? Not saying that you should do your soul's purpose for free, but what could you do for free all day? Like I joke around with my clients because like I'll be on live Q&As with them sometimes for like 3 hours. And they're like, I don't know how you do it. And it's like, well, I can do this all day without drinking water because I'm so passionate about it, because I know exactly how to help you. I know exactly what question to ask to get that breakthrough in your mind, right? And I get juiced off of that. So like, what do you get juiced off of? What are you passionate about? What could you do for free all day? And then the third question is what would you like to contribute? What is it that you can see that there needs to be a need filled in humanity? What is missing? In my industry, in the spiritual community, can you hear me?
Did you hear that?
I did not.
Oh, okay. I heard something weird on my end, so I wasn't sure if that was your computer or mine. I apologize. It sounded
That's okay.
like a commercial, and nothing's playing on the board, so I apologize. That's why my face was like, "Huh?" All right, glad you
Don't,
didn't hear it. It's gone.
yeah, don't worry about it. It's totally fine. Um, Bring me back to what I was saying. So what would you like to contribute? What is it that you can see that there is a gap in humanity? Like in my industry, the spiritual industry, I don't necessarily think there's enough tough love. I do believe in acceptance, but I also believe in discipline. I also believe that there does need to be more structure in spirituality, not in a religious, you have to follow these specific rules. You must find what's organic and natural to you. But I also do believe that people can come into this thing where there's too much flow and not enough discipline. And there's a balance to everything. Like I've said before, I believe that you are doing life right when you are balancing between the paradox, right? So being in flow, but also having that structure and discipline and using your discernment to decide, do I require more flow or do I require more discipline? So what is it that you could do all day for free? What is it that you know that you are good at? And then also, what would you like to contribute? Because we all have a human need for contribution. We all want to give something to something that's bigger than ourselves. We just feel good about it. And there's, a vibrational reason why. When we help the collective, we actually help ourselves because we're all interconnected. But what is it that you want to contribute? And I know that this is very general. And if people do want help really discovering what that is, then they should have a conversation with me. But because I'm really excellent at that. And then also, another thing. So let's tie it back to money and finances, right? We live in a world now where literally anything is possible, right? Where anything is possible. You do have to be consistent and you do have to wait for the long-term payoffs, right? but I mean, there's people, there's makeup artists on YouTube making millions of dollars. There are parenting people, on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, making millions of dollars. You can do anything right now. The world is your oyster. Whatever your soul's purpose is, it's available to you, and there's a vehicle that you can execute from or use as to give, right? Does that make sense?
Well, and just for those listening today, I want to remind them, Haley, how we contact you because you've been talking and it's been great. And I apologize for the error in my audio before, if you guys heard that. Not you. Haley Carbajal, just a reminder, 5stepstoalignment.com. Go to her website. That's the word five, FIVE, stepstoalignment.com. And we're excited to have you here, helping people live their purpose, break bad habits, and really get started on living the life that you want to live. And I know you really are big into dream building and helping people with spirituality and connecting to source and all that. So you're the perfect person to reach out to today. And there's my ad for you, Miss Haley.
Thank you. Well, and I want to say it's more than just, living a life that you dream of, because there's also a lot of health benefits, mental health, physical health benefits to doing what you love.
Yep.
So stress causes cortisol.
Mm-hmm.
Cortisol is bad for the body. Also, if you look at it from a multidimensional level, what
Yes.
you don't face starts to become a symptom. Dis-ease in the body is dis-ease in the mind, right? From the mind. So if you are doing something that you love, that you're passionate about, and there are people like me where it's like, this is my full time what I do. And then there's others where it could just be a side hustle, right? Where it could just be something you do in addition to your regular 9 to 5, if that's what you have. But it's also beneficial for your physical health as well. The more that you have the hormones that are associated with happiness and joy, balanced serotonin and all of those things, the more homeostasis and equilibrium that is in the body, which benefits your health, which also benefits your brain and your brain health. And therefore you come across less physical symptoms, less physical disease in the body, because you are in a state of more joy, more happiness, more fulfillment. And then, if we get really granular, which is not the topic of this conversation, but I firmly believe that each disease has a vibrational frequency that is associated with an emotion. But really,
Hmm.
it's not that complicated to go out there and discover what your soul's purpose is, and to live it, and you feel fulfilled that way. We're not here to, it's like that saying, you either go and chase your own dreams or you build somebody else's, right? If you knew that you could have it any way that you wanted, because you really can, you can have your life any way that you want it. The question is are you willing to do what it takes? Outlast the temporary, overcome the limiting parts of yourself, stay dedicated and consistent, find a way. If it's a 100-mile race, it's easy to get through the first 10 miles, but what happens? And it's easy to finish at mile 85 because you only have 15 miles left. But what do you do between miles 15 and 85? That's what really matters. That's where the substance is in the race, and the building character and really making sure your dreams come true. But you can have it any way that you want it. And if you don't believe that, again, it's time to have a conversation with me.
And just to tell people a little bit about your background, you have your own share of traumas you've healed, you've helped heal. I mean, there's a significance to the work that you're doing, that you have done. And what would you say to someone, who's interested in your credentials in a sense, where how could you help me? I could share that because I feel like I know you, but from your own words, what would you say why, why Haley, why you should we reach out to?
Well, because I mean, everybody could say this, but I've walked the walk. So, I come from, I've had sexual abuse, right? My grandfather was my first French kiss, which is disgusting. My stepdad was grooming me
Mm.
and also doing things to my daughter when I was in the middle of a divorce and living with them. In building my businesses, I saw at one period in time, I saw huge financial loss, like lost $60,000, took out a lot of debt to fund the business that still failed, found my way back on my feet again, endured substance abuse, right? Bad substance abuse and low self-confidence, low self-worth, and everything that I have. It's the way that I see it is this. The there is a mirror, right? So the darkest parts of your life are actually a mirror or a springboard to the highest of light that you can see. And so the darker that you have gone down, now it does come down to a choice, but the further that you go down in the roots and healing and removing limiting beliefs and programming and conditioning, like you can't live your soul's purpose or you can't make money off of your soul's purpose or whatever have you release all of those things, then that's also how high your skyscraper can be built, right? So the how far down you can go is a mirror of how high you can actually soar. But for why me? I don't BS. I will tell it to you straight. I am, and I know this is gonna sound egotistical or whatever have you, don't really care because I don't care what people think of me, but I know that I am the best, not only energy healer, at least in the top 0.0000001%, but I know I'm the best energy healer. I am the best mentor and coach that you will find. I'm just in the building blocks. I'm just starting to stack up my success. I'm just starting to stack up. I mean, I'm only 28 years old. I'm just getting started. So I know that I can change your life because of the hundreds of lives that I have already changed. People come to me, they don't know what their soul's purpose is, and they find it. Like I explained in a previous episode, my client Judy, actually one of my clients, Sarah, too, she loves fire, she loves building fires, and everything that I do is around spirituality too. So she loves the full moons, she loves fires, and so connecting those things that she loved and being like, what if you hosted monthly fire cleanses where people pay you an admission fee and they come to receive healing under the full moon with the light of a fire, right? And doing something locally at first, and then you could start doing retreats and things like that. I'm very, very business minded. I can come up with ideas, no problem. But now I feel like I'm kind of spiraling into different conversations here.
It's okay. You're on a roll, but I get it. You are confident in your ability. Obviously you are, and you have success stories and you've been through a lot. You empathize, and you have a proven track, success record. So I think that's important, but that was the question I asked you, kind of what makes you unique. And, yeah, and you're not pompous at all. I love your ability because, you are confident in who you are and that you're the best you can be. So commend you on that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah, and the thing is that, and I know that anybody can say this, so you'll just have to listen to your own inner voice and your own discernment, right? But I don't do anything that I wouldn't tell a client to do. I'm fully, I fully embody what it is that I suggest. And everything that I suggest are things that I have done
Mhm.
myself and saw results from, and then because I got results from it, shared it with different clients and they got results from it too. And so you know, I have this, I think this real, I don't think I know, this really unique ability to be able to see somebody as they are and have zero judgment, full acceptance, love, and honor. But also, I know that every limitation that you have is an excuse. Right. So I can see your greatness. I can see where you are. I can see your greatness and what your potential is. And I'm going to unconditionally love you just as you are because you are perfect the way that you are. But if you want more for your life, then I'm going to hold your feet to the fire, no BS, and say, what do you want? Are you going to hold on to
Yeah.
those excuses or what is it that you want? Because also overcoming poverty as well, like, oh God, I had it so bad. I'm going to really expose myself here, and that's totally
Okay.
fine. I was in substance abuse so bad that I lived in the ghetto of South Phoenix with a cockroach infestation and did nothing about it. Dirty dishes in the sink, food moldy everywhere. And I remember waking up to cockroaches crawling on me at night. And now I live in the most gorgeous place here in Flagstaff, updated, beautiful home, building a successful business, right? Changing people's lives. So, like, I understand why people feel they're justified in their traumas, in
Yeah.
their unhealed wounds, in their limiting beliefs. But if I held on to that version of Haley that was drinking every single night and doing more than just drinking, then I would not be where I am today, making the impact that I have and having this conversation with you. So I get it. I grew up in poverty. We had to go to the food bank just to have food. I get it. But also, what's more important to you? Holding on to those old versions of yourself that are going to keep replaying the same thing, repeating history in your life? Or
Yeah.
do you want that dream, that future version of you, the one that has everything that they could ever want? Because you can have anything that you want. You just have to be patient enough. You have to be consistent enough to earn it. And it will come to you. You just have to have faith, and that's a whole, like, challenges are a direct response to your dreams. If you're being challenged, that means that it actually is happening, all of that stuff. But yeah, that's a little bit about me personally and some of my history and what I've overcome.
Well, thank you. And I love your role that you've been on. And I'm thank you for sharing all that. And wow, to be where you were and now in a beautiful place makes me so happy. But to know, you've been through hard times and thank you for sharing that with us personally. So it's possible and we know it. You lived it. You're living proof.
Yes, yes, and because I know what I've had to face, what I've had to overcome, and
Hmm.
it is that saying, if I can do it, you can do it too. But really, the deeper underlining
Yeah.
meaning to it to me is that I believe in you, that you can do
Mhm.
it. And I will hold that belief
Yeah.
for you until you believe it yourself fully. Because
Beautiful.
I believe that you are meant to do something absolutely great with your life, and that includes your soul's purpose, being the best version of you, living in your fullest capacity, having this self-love, this self-confidence that is unshakable, but really this inner knowing of who you are and why you work the way that you do, and having humor and also fun in knowing who you are and why you do what you do and being able to overcome it. Really, what I teach is life skills, emotional intelligence, self observation, life skills.
Got it. Well, thank you. And in our last 2 minutes together, how did you want to end off for today?
Um, the only person that's standing in your way really is you, and it is your attachment
Mm,
to the past and who you think you are and who you've been told that you are. You really are a limitless being with unlimited potential. And if you're moved by this, reach out and seek help, because there is a better future waiting for you, and you
Mhm.
know it and you feel it. All you have to do is decide.
All right. And how can we contact you?
5stepstoalignment.com. Again, FIV, thank you. FIVE, stepstoalignment.com. If you want to get a taste of what I do, I offer Patreon for a monthly subscription,
Yep.
and you can get coaching and mentorship and healing from me there.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Pleasure having you here, and we'll talk again soon. Once again, reach out to Miss Haley.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.